Well, how about the fog one?
Good evening, and please be aware that the first hour and a half of this meeting will be recorded so that we can put it onto our website, podcast, and our YouTube channel. We record in audio only. Feel free to use the podcast on our website along with your big book as a resource if you missed the study portion of the meeting. The study portion is also listed, I lost my place, on the website so you can follow along. Tonight's recap will start on page 12 where it says the real significance and will end on page 14, he knows they are real. And our study portion tonight will start on page 14, while I lay in the hospital, and end on page 16 at the end of the chapter, peace on earth and goodwill to men. And do we have any announcements?
Good evening, family. My name is Jamie, very grateful recovered alcoholic. And first off, welcome to anyone who's joining us the first time. And we don't do screen shares for the readings in this meeting, so if you have a big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, it will be extremely helpful. And I hope that we offer something that you will like. We have a group conscience coming up. I believe we are going to do that on November 9th. Is that correct, Trish? Nod your head. And the previous week before that, we will be doing a trusted servants meeting, so that will actually be on September 26th, is what it
October.
looks like. I'm sorry, what, Trish?
October, not September.
October, yeah. Hey, dazed and confused, okay? So that's what we have coming up, because we'll be going into fourth quarter assembly, and we will, in this particular group conscience, we will also be taking a vote for a new GSR, because we have someone who actually lives here in the state of Tennessee that is able to go to our assemblies here and represent the group. Only home group members are eligible to vote, but if you'd like to come to our group conscience, even though you're not a home group member, and see how this group operates and the things that we do, you are more than welcome to join us. And we have a busy rest of the end of the year. State convention, assembly, maybe going to SASA as well. So lots of stuff going on. So come join us and be part of. Thank you. Oh, and it's up to me. I'm blue. Good evening, family. Again, my name is Jamie, very grateful recovered alcoholic. And welcome to the Lewisburg Primary Purpose Big Book Study Group. To prepare for our Big Book study, let's get focused by having a 3-minute moment of meditation followed by our family's fog light prayer.
And I'm a recovered alcoholic. My name is Trish. Thanks for joining us tonight. We're going to start the meditation in a minute, so please take a moment to get situated.
Please be aware of background noises when you are unmuted and sharing, as to not distract others or quite possibly even yourself. We suggest we all observe proper Zoom etiquette. If you wouldn't do it in a live meeting, please don't do it here. And just a friendly reminder that absence of profanity offends no one. Please keep yourself muted during someone else's share, and we will call on you in the order that hands are raised.
From the foreword to the first edition of Alcoholics Anonymous. We of Alcoholics Anonymous are many thousands of men and women who have recovered from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. To show other alcoholics precisely how we have recovered is the main purpose of this book and of this group.
And Trish, I just started my recorder, so hopefully you started yours earlier. For the meditation, some suggestions are: focus on your breath and posture, breathe in God, and breathe out self.
Take this time to reconnect with God. Let the craziness of the day drift away and ask God to help you focus on the study.
And now let's invite the monks in to do what the monks do so well. So enjoy your time with God, folks. And for those of you who wish, please join us in our family's foglight prayer, which is on your screen in front of you. God, let your love shine through us like a foglight, so that those that are lost, sick, and dying can find your love through us. Amen.
And let's have our secretary's report. Come on in, Donald.
Hello, everyone. That is a very nice photo of spring, Mr. Pickles.
Is that what you're saying? You don't?
Yes.
There we go.
Let me go back to it.
Hi, everyone. My name is Donald, a.k.a. Gandalf the Red Pickle, and I am your recovered alcoholic secretary. And I've asked Terry to read the recovered statement. We read this. Hold on, let me get it over here. There we go. We read this notice to explain why many people in this group identify as recovered rather than recovering, and what it exactly means to be a recovered alcoholic. Take it away, Terry.
Hi everybody, I'm Terry, a recovered alcoholic, aka Pickle Chips. Recovered. We are not cured of alcoholism. Recovered but not cured. That presents a conflict to some alcoholics. If we were cured, we would be able to drink responsibly. Nope, we are not cured. The allergic reaction to alcohol will remain with us for a lifetime. But we have been restored to sanity. That was the problem. The main problem of the alcoholic centers in his mind rather than in his body. Page 23 of the Big Book. We are now sane where alcohol is concerned. Consequently, we have recovered.
Thank you, Terry, and thank you for joining us this evening. We meet every Tuesday starting at 5:30 p.m. Central with the Durable Fellowship Gauge, where we chatter for about an hour before the start of the meeting. Feel free to bring side dishes to share with the buzzards. Our Big Book study starts promptly at 6:30 Central Time, and we ask that you be courteous and ready to begin at the sound of the foghorn. We take our Big Book study seriously. Because of that, chat will be disabled during the study. In the 1940s, when the only elements to sobriety were God, a Big Book, and one recovered alcoholic working with an untreated alcoholic, and the success rate was as follows. From the forward to the second edition to Alcoholics Anonymous. Let's try that one more time. From the forward to the second edition of Alcoholics Anonymous, page XX. Of alcoholics who came to AA and really tried, 50% got sober at once, remaining that way. 25% got sobered up after some relapse. And the remainder, those who stayed on with AA, did show improvement. Can we have a show of hands of people joining us for the first time?
Tonight we have Tim joining us for the first time, Jacqueline joining us for the first time. And
Welcome,
I think that's
welcome.
it. Welcome, glad to have you.
Yeah. All right. And then the recovered alcoholics. There's a square with nobody in it. All right. All right. These are your potential sponsors. Is anybody celebrating a milestone this week? Anybody other than me? Tomorrow I'm going to be turning 4K, 4,000 days of continuous sobriety. And my name is Donald, aka Gandalf the Red Pickle. And more about that later. Okay. So, if you should require a big book of your own, we have large print editions available that can be sent to you via buzzard mail, and delivery time is questionable. Please remember to practice our 7th tradition by donating to the group address, Venmo, or PayPal posted in chat and on the screen. Our suggestion is to purchase a big book and take an untreated alcoholic through the program of recovery. Please visit our website, posted in chat, and thank you, and we shall see you next week.
Thank you, Donald, and I'd like to thank Donald for being our secretary for the last 12 weeks. So we will be having a new secretary start next week. So thank you so much for your service. And Pickle Chips, thank you for your service. And you have a happy birthday tomorrow. From the forward to the first edition of Alcoholics Anonymous. Whoops, sorry. That's the wrong one. I did not advance. Imagine that. Here we go. From Chapter 2, there is a solution. The tremendous fact for every one of us is that we've discovered a common solution. We have a way out on which we can absolutely agree and upon which we can join in brotherly and harmonious action. This is the great news this book carries to those who suffer from alcoholism.
This is an open meeting, and as such, all who have an interest in alcoholism and our program of recovery are welcome. Because this is an open meeting, you need not identify yourself nor your reason for being here if you do not wish to do so. Your anonymity will be protected. We ask that you protect ours.
While this is an open meeting, membership in this group is limited to those who wish to recover from alcoholism and have a desire to stop drinking for good and all. Each member of Alcoholics Anonymous is a potential sponsor of a new member and should clearly recognize the obligations and duties of such a responsibility.
Before we begin our study of the Big Book, last week we reviewed Tradition 12. Tonight, let's take a quick look at Tradition 1. And Larry is going to read the short form and long form, and then Jimmy will share his experience with this tradition with us. So come in, Larry.
Hello, I'm Larry, and I am an alcoholic. The first tradition in the short form reads, number 1, our common welfare should come first. Personal recovery depends upon AA unity. In the long form it reads, each member of Alcoholics Anonymous is but a small part of a great whole. AA must continue to live, or most of us will surely die. Hence, our common welfare comes first, but individual welfare follows close afterward.
And Jimmy?
Hi, I'm Jimmy, and I am a grateful recovered alcoholic. And thanks, Larry, for reading that for me. And it kind of just takes me back to when I came to AA, and I went to my first in-person meeting. And, you know, I was still full of all my character defects. And the traditions is for the groups, you know. I mean, I hadn't worked at any of the steps. So, you know, I'm not knowing what's going on at an AA meeting. But, you know, the men, it was a men's meeting. So the men that were there, you know, they welcomed me to the meeting. You know, they're like one mind, one accord, and they're there to help a newcomer. They're there to help me, you know, and they're and step one does say our, our common welfare. So it's not a I program. It is a we program, and it's like our first step. We admitted we were powerless over alcohol, and I was so full of self when I got in here. You know, it was that tradition is very true. I mean, they gave me unconditional love. They welcomed me in there, and they didn't tell me I had to do anything. And there was a lot of things I would not do. I wouldn't read the book with them. I wouldn't, I didn't want to do anything, and they didn't make me do anything. And they said you can share at the end of our meeting, or you don't have to. And everything we do here is suggested. It seems if we ever come up with the word must, which is in the book, sometimes it's normally dealing with us being spiritually fit or having to do with spiritual principles. And I was spiritually bankrupt when I got in here. I had nothing to give AA, but because of how that's structured for the groups and for the fellowship and how they treated me, because they had something I didn't have, and they were trying to give me a gift, and I wasn't ready to accept it fully, but it was there, and they, thank God for the traditions and for the groups, because I didn't understand any of that, and them steps helped get me to where I could understand to say, yes, I'm comfortable with being a small part of the whole of AA. I'm here to help a newcomer now too, and before I wasn't. And each group is structured differently. You'll hear, we're going to take a group conscience on a boat, on something that kind of comes up quickly, and it's still a group conscience. I've been the members of two groups. I've been a Teamster for 33 years, and now I am not one. I'm driving for a non-union company, but I was part of that, and you heard the word group a lot. Now, that group, if I do certain things, I can lose my union membership. I don't lose the benefits of being in the union, but they will not save me or give me my job back. I don't know what I would have to actually do to lose my membership of AA. I guess if I were to act out or do something really bad at a meeting, someone might tell me, hey, they might take me to the side after the meeting and say, that's not a way to conduct yourself at a meeting. But, they would probably let me run with it, during that hour meeting. But, I had no structure, I had no discipline, I had nothing when I came here. And now, because of, Bill writing these traditions to keep the groups together, I mean, didn't know anything about it. But we got service, recovery, and unity is the triangle of AA. And thank God for you guys. You changed my life and you saved my life. That's all I got. Thanks.
Thanks, Jimmy, and thank you, Larry. Thank you both for your service tonight. It is greatly appreciated. And since you happen to be in the must, we still have a couple of musts left. Uh, Now it's time for our weekly segment of That Ain't in the Book. We hear a lot of stuff said in meetings that can't be reconciled with the program as described in the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous. One of the things we often hear is there are no musts in the book. And Kenny is going to come in and tell us what the book has to say about that tonight on page 146 in the fourth paragraph. Welcome, Kenny.
Good evening. My name is Kenny. I'm alcoholic. For he knows he must be honest if he would live at all.
Thank you, my friend. A joy to have you always. Thank you for your service.
As we study, please make use of the pens, highlighters, and rulers so that you can share this experience with another alcoholic.
In order for us to stay focused as we studied the Big Book, we used the Big Book study guide prepared by Joe and Charlie and Krusty Cliff of the Dallas Primary Purpose Group.
Tonight, we're going to start our recap on page 12, which will be read by Nancy, followed by our study portion, which will be read by Donald.
Trish, I got bad news for you. Your Wi-Fi is not syncing. But that's okay. After the page is read, we will ask questions from the imaginary podium, starting back at our portion study where Donald began to read tonight. The answers will be one sentence unless otherwise specified, and multi-part questions are simply one sentence answers split up by commas, semicolons, hyphens, and other fun bits of punctuation.
Basically, in English, what that means is we're going to read the material once through, then dissect the information a second time, through the question and answer format. Notice how the language in the questions gives us a new light in which to consider the study material.
This is important because hearing the question and rereading the content offers a definite way of comprehending the material covered. After we've completed the study, we open up for comments, questions, observations based on what is just read. If you've had spiritual experience with this information, please, by all means, feel free to share as well. Please keep your share on topic and under 5 minutes. At the 5-minute mark, you will hear a timer beep to let you know that your time is finished. And by the way, folks, this is an hour-and-a-half long meeting, and we have been known to go over.
However, Big Book study is not therapy. Should you begin sharing on topics which are more appropriately discussed in a different setting, for example with a sponsor, please do not be offended when we cut that conversation short and send the buzzards nipping at your heels. For that purpose, we have fellowship meetings before and after our study time.
You can never go wrong by commenting on the pages studied, which brings us to the words of one of the co-founders of Alcoholics Anonymous. Sobriety, freedom from alcohol, through the teaching and practice of the 12 steps, is the sole purpose of any Alcoholics Anonymous group.
And how did we get here? We didn't just randomly open the page in the book and say, let's read pages 12 through 16 tonight. This meeting started in January of 2020 in person, and then was shut down and came back, as many meetings did, on Zoom. And now, since we have become so widespread, we will always be on a Zoom meeting. We will never be able to be in person. But we start reading the book on the title page where we find our first promise, the story of how many thousands of men and women have recovered from alcoholism. And then we read through, line by line, through the preface and the forewords and the doctor's opinion and Bill's story, all the way through page 194 or 164. We also then use this question and answer format to read through Dr. Bob's story. We spend 4 weeks on the traditions, and then we close out with the spiritual experience, Appendix 2. We do read that 3 times when the appendix on the page refers us to, but we also use that to close out in week 96. So tonight we are on week 15 of a 96-week study. It's our 5th year as a group, but we're in our 4th season or our 4th time going through the book. And every time I go through it, I think I've seen and read a lot in this book, but I'm still finding new stuff in there. So I hope you keep coming back and keep reading with us.
Thank you, Trish. And before we start the recap, we will need 5 or 6 virtual hands raised if you would like to be one of our answer readers. Please be aware again that the first hour and a half of this meeting is recorded in audio only so that we can put it onto our website, which we use Castbox, and to our YouTube channel. So we could use at least 2 or 3 more hands. And Nancy, welcome. Come on in with our recap, my friend.
Nancy Alcoholic. The real significance of my experience in the cathedral burst upon me. For a brief moment, I had needed and wanted God. There had been a humble willingness to have Him with me, and He came. But soon the sense of His presence had been blotted out by worldly clamors, mostly those within myself. And so it had been ever since. How blind I had been. At the hospital, I was separated from alcohol for the last time. Treatment seemed wise, for I showed signs of delirium tremens. There I humbly offered myself to God as I then understood Him, to do with me as He would. I placed myself unreservedly under His care and direction. I admitted for the first time that of myself I was nothing, that without Him I was lost. I ruthlessly faced my sins and became willing to have my newfound friend take them away, root and branch. I have not had a drink since. My schoolmate visited me, and I fully acquainted him with my problems and deficiencies. He made a list of people I had hurt or toward whom I felt resentment. I expressed my entire willingness to approach these individuals, admitting my wrongs. Never was I to be critical of them. I was to write all such matters to the utmost of my ability. I was to test my thinking by a new God consciousness within. Common sense would thus become uncommon sense. I was to sit quietly when in doubt, asking only for direction and strength to meet my problems as He would have me. Never was I to pray for myself, except as my request bore on my usefulness to others. Then only might I expect to receive, but that would be the great measures. My friend promised me then my friend promised when these things were done, I would enter upon a new relationship with my Creator, that I would have the elements of a way of living which answered all my problems. Belief in the power of God, plus enough willingness, honesty and humility to establish and maintain the new order of things were the essential requirements. Simple but not easy. Pride has to be paid. It meant destruction of self-centeredness. I must turn in all things to the Father of lights who presides over us all. These were revolutionary and drastic proposals, but the moment I fully accepted them, the effect was electric. There was a sense of victory, followed by such a peace and serenity as I had never known. There was utter confidence. I felt lifted up, as though the great clean wind of a mountain top blew through and through. God comes to most men gradually, but His impact on me was sudden and profound. For a moment, I was alarmed and called my friend the doctor to ask if I were still sane. He listened in wonder as I thought. Finally, he shook his head, saying, "Something has happened to you and I don't understand, but you had better hang on to it. Anything is better than the way you are." For the good doctor now sees many men who had such experiences. He knows that they are real. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Wonderful job. And Gandalf, let's try out those new eyeballs. Yeah, those ones.
Yeah, they're not new, they're old. Donald recovered alcoholic but not cured. And I was just using it because my eyes are weary. While I lay in the hospital, the thought came that there were thousands of hopeless alcoholics who might be glad to have what had been so freely given to me. Perhaps I could help some of them, then in turn might work with others. My friend had emphasized the absolute necessity of demonstrating these principles in all my affairs. Particularly was it imperative to work with others as he had worked with me. Faith without works is dead, he said. And how appallingly true for the alcoholic. For if an alcoholic failed to perfect and enlarge his spiritual life through work and self-sacrifice for others, he could not survive the certain trials and low spots ahead. If he did not work, he would surely drink again. And if he drank again, he would surely die. Then faith would be dead indeed. With us, it is just like that. My wife and I abandoned ourselves with enthusiasm to the idea of helping other alcoholics to the solution to their problems. It was fortunate for my old business associates remained skeptical for a year and a half, during which I found little work. I was not too well at the time and was plagued by waves of self-pity and resentment. This sometimes nearly drove me back to drink, but I soon found that when all other measures failed, work with another alcoholic would save the day. Many times I have gone to my old hospital in despair. On talking to a man there, I would be amazingly lifted up and set on my feet. It is a design for living that works in rough going. We commenced to make many fast friends, and fellowships has grown up among us, which is a wonderful thing to feel apart. The joy of living we really have, even under pressure and difficulty. I have seen hundreds of families set their feet on the path that really goes somewhere, have seen the most impossible domestic situations righted, feuds and bitternesses of all sorts wiped out. I have seen men come out of asylums and resume a vital place in the lives of their families and communities. Business and professional men have regained their standing. There is scarcely any form of trouble and misery which has not been overcome among us. In one western city and its environs, there are 1,000 of us in our families. We meet frequently so that newcomers may find the fellowship they seek. At these formal gatherings, one may often see from 50 to 200 persons. We are growing in numbers and in powers. And in 2022, AA is composed of approximately 120,455 groups. An alcoholic in his cups is an unlovely creature. Our struggles with them are variously strenuous, comic, and tragic. One poor chap committed suicide in my home. He could not or would not see our way of life. There is, however, a vast amount of fun about it all. I suppose some would be shocked at our seemingly wordlessness and levity, but just underneath there are deadly earnestness. Faith has to work 24 hours a day in and through us, or we perish. Most of us need look no further for utopia. We have it with us right here and now. Each day, my friend's simple talk in our kitchen multiplies itself in a widening circle of peace on earth and goodwill to men. Bill W., co-founder of AA, died January 24th, 1971, and thus history was born.
Thank you, Donald. Wonderful job tonight. We appreciate you. And now we are going to go to the question and answer portion. I'll ask the questions, which you don't have. The answers will come out of what was just read. Trish will be coming in with comments tonight, and one of the, about 7 comments. One of those comments will be an update to the numbers that Donald gave in the reading. So, our batting order tonight is Nancy, Jim, William, Sheila, and Kenny. So, Nancy, we are going to kick it off with you on page 14. What thought came to Bill as he lay in the hospital? Read the entire paragraph, please.
While I lay in the hospital, the thought came to that there were thousands of hopeless alcoholics who might be glad to have what had been so freely given me. Perhaps I could help some of them. They in turn might work with others.
And my first comment, where would we be if Bill had not had this thought and acted on it? Is this the foundation of the concept of working with others?
And Jim, welcome, my friend. What did Ebby tell Bill was absolutely necessary?
My friend had emphasized the absolute necessity of demonstrating these principles in all my affairs.
Thank you, sir. And William, welcome, my friend. What was particularly imperative?
My friend
Nope.
had emphasized it.
Next
I
line.
just got
Particularly.
faith without work was dead.
Nope.
Yes.
Right in between the two. Right in between the two. Particularly what?
You know, I got a phone call just now. I just interrupt all that. So I'll pick up the next time.
I'll come back to you. Sheila, I'm going to give you the same question. What was particularly imperative?
Particularly was it imperative to work with others as he had worked with me.
Thank you. And Kenny, coming to you, welcome, my friend. What was it Ebby told Bill must accompany faith?
Faith without works was dead. He said, and
Thank
now...
you. That's it right there. And Nancy, coming back to you, is that especially true for the alcoholic?
And how appallingly true for the alcoholic.
Thank you. Jim, how does an alcoholic develop his spiritual life? Read to the comma, please.
For if an alcoholic failed to perfect and enlarge his spiritual life through work and self-sacrifice for others.
Thank you. That's it right there. William, are you with us now? Okay. Your question is why is it so important that a recovered alcoholic devote some of his time in trying to help others?
He could not survive the certain trials and low spots of the head.
Thank you.
Is this Bill's step 12?
Sure sounds like it. Sheila, coming to you, my dear. If a recovered alcoholic doesn't work with others, what will happen?
If he did not work, he would surely drink again. And if he drank again, he would surely die.
Thank you. And Kenny, coming to you, my friend. Where would our faith be then?
Then faith would be dead indeed.
Thank you. Nancy, coming back to you. Is it really the way it is?
With us, it is just like that.
Thank you. And Jim, coming back to you, sir. What did Bill and Lois do?
My wife and I abandoned ourselves with enthusiasm to the idea of helping other alcoholics to a solution of their problems.
Thank you. William, a two-part question for you, sir. A, Did it interfere with Bill's business activities? And B, how long did Bill go without work?
It was fortunate for my old business association remained skeptical for a year and a half, during which I found little work.
Thank you. And Sheila, coming back to you, what was Bill plagued with?
I was not too well at the time and was plagued by waves of self-pity and resentment.
Thank you. Kenny, two-part question for you, sir. A, what almost drove Bill to drink? And B, what did Bill find to be the solution for his problem?
This sometime nearly drove me to back to drink, but I soon found that when all other measures failed, with another alcoholic would save the day.
Thank you. Nancy, two-part question for you. A, what did Bill do many times? And B, how was he feeling when he went?
Many times I have gone to my old hospital in despair.
Thank you. Jim, what happened when he talked to another alcoholic?
On talking to a man there, I would be amazingly lifted up and set on my feet.
Thank you. William, what is the program of Alcoholics Anonymous?
It is a design for living that works in rough going.
Thank you.
It's not as much about not drinking as it is the quality of life we are promised as we learn to take and live by the steps.
And Sheila, coming to you, my dear, what did Bill and Lois find happening to them?
We commenced to make many fast friends, and a fellowship has grown up among us, of which it is a wonderful thing to feel a part.
Thank you. Kenny, what did they find to be true under pressure and difficulty?
The joy of living we really have, even under pressure and difficulty.
Thank you. And Nancy, coming back to you, what did they see happening to families?
I have seen hundreds of families set their feet in the path that really goes somewhere, have seen the most impossible domestic situations righted, feuds and bitterness of all sorts wiped out.
Thank you. And Jim, what happened to some who came from asylums?
I have seen men come out of asylums and resume a vital place in the lives of their families and communities.
Thank you. And William, what happened to business and professional people?
Business and professional men have regained their standing.
Thank you.
Yes.
And Sheila,
Okay.
what form of trouble and misery is not overcome when we practice the program? 2 sentences, please.
There is scarcely any form of trouble and misery which has not been overcome among us. In one Western city and its environs, there are about 1,000 of us in our families.
Thank you. And Kenny, why did they have meetings? 3 sentences, please.
We meet frequently so that newcomers may find the fellowship they seek. At the informal gathering, one may often see from 50 to 200 persons.
Keep going.
We are growing in number and power.
Thank you.
And the footnote you have may read, in 2001, AA is composed of over 100,000 groups. Or it may read, in 2019, AA is composed of approximately 123,000 groups.
Thank you. And Nancy, coming back to you. What is an alcoholic who is drinking?
An alcoholic in his cup is an unlovely creature.
Thank you. Jim, how did Bill describe our struggles with the wet ones?
Our struggles with them are variously strenuous, comic, and tragic.
We're not talking about the wet ones here for diapers, but we're working with wet drunks.
True story. William, what did one alcoholic do in Bill and Lois's home?
One poor chap committed suicide in my home.
Thank you. And Sheila, why did he do that?
He could not or would not see our way of life.
Absolutely. Thank you. Kenny, what is it we have?
There is, however, a vast amount of fun about it all.
Thank you. And Nancy, are some folks shocked at our attitude?
Yes, I suppose some would be shocked at our seeming worldliness and levity.
Thank you. And Jim, what is it that underlies our purpose?
But just underneath there is deadly earnestness.
Thank you. And William, you get a three-part question. It's the only three-part question there is tonight. A, what must work in and through us? B, how long must it work? And C, if we don't live in faith, what will happen to us? 2 sentences, please.
Faith has to work 24 hours a day, in and through us, or we will perish. Most of us be,
You're right. Keep going.
most of us feel we need look no further for utopia. We have it.
That's it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. It was
Sheila,
good.
when do we experience the real blessings of the program?
We have it with us right here and now.
We do. And Kenny, you get the final question of the night. What is the ongoing result of Ebby going to the trouble of locating Bill and then going to see him to tell him of his solution to alcoholism?
Each day, my friend's simple talk in the kitchen multiplies itself in a widening circle of peace on earth and goodwill to men.
And a consideration, where would you and I be if Ebby had not inconvenienced himself by locating Bill, going to visit him, and telling him about his message of hope? And Bill W., the co-founder of AA, died on January 24th, 1971.
Thank you so much, everybody, for your participation. You can remute and lower your hands. And now, family, the meeting is open for comments, questions, observations, spiritual experience. We'd love to hear from you, so don't be shy.
Okay, I just have a comment.
Okay.
My book on the asteroid, it says on 2011, AA is composed of approximately 107,000 groups.
So here's the answer to that. When we put the 123,000 in there, we searched the latest information. It depends on what printing of the book you have. If you have fourth edition, but there might be 23, 25, 45 printings of it, and each time that they do a new printing of the book, they update the number of groups that there are in Alcoholics Anonymous.
Okay, thank you.
Good
So
question.
comment turned into a question, turned into an answer. I like it. Don't be shy, folks. This is your meeting. It's the dental chair. I am the dentist.
Yes, I come in. My name is William Alcoholic. Good evening to everybody. And I went to a meeting this evening with a newcomer, Sharon, and I was sitting back there, and she had like 90 days sober. And I was sitting back listening to her, and she was so enthused with the people that she had met in Alcoholics Anonymous, and she was talking about it and stuff like that. So I was thinking, And I said, it's beyond my wildest dream, and I'm pretty sure it was beyond Bill and Bill whenever he came up with it, because here we now on Zoom and we meet people all over the world and stuff like that, right? And so what amazing about his reading, he was talking about how he went to my first 13 years of my life. I did it in an institution, and when I felt beat down, the job, the world was treating me bad, and the job wasn't what I thought, what I was feeling it should be. And I would go into that institution and have that meeting, and they just put me back together, man, and kept the spiritual recovery into my life, For that, I'm grateful, and all this stuff that he did in the time he did it was great, especially practicing these principles in all our affairs. And he talked. One thing I liked about it, he said about the business people, So God works in strange ways sometimes, He was talking about the business people, his associate, that they was a little skeptical about him, so he didn't get any work, But as you look at the program of Alcoholics Anonymous, he did a whole lot of work for us at that time, and still with us today through his writing and stuff, all kind of material, and as a result of him writing all that kind of material, it became financially helping us in the financial area to be here today. You know what I mean? So it just gets so when I read this and open my mind up to what it was, and definitely it's beyond my wildest dream, for me being here. And my life today is good. I have a great life today, I can say that, And it's not about the outside, it's about the rearranging the insides, in our practice program and all of our affairs. I don't do it perfect, but one thing I have done perfect was through 24, I haven't seen it necessary to pick up a drink. But anything that happened in my life, I could either learn from it, I could hang on to it and be dragged. So I'm just grateful to be here and grateful to read this stuff. Whenever I read it, it opens my mind. If I think about 1939 when he wrote the book, and when he first got sober, he was talking about how God just squeezed everything right through the business association. People were skeptical about him because of his past behavior. And he continued to do what he needed to do to stay sober. So, and the same thing with me today. When I feel down and out, go to a meeting. Keep the doors open for the newcomer, because we don't be here forever. But the program will, if we do our part. So that's just a small grain of sand on the beach, but a very important spot, grain. So thank you.
Thank you, William. Good to see you, my friend. And Toe Tap and Pickle, come on in.
Hey everybody, I'm Tricia. I'm an alcoholic. And I liked the question towards the end, what form of trouble and misery is not overcome when we practice the program? And the answer out of the book, there is scarcely any form of trouble and misery which has not been overcome among us. And, the only trouble and misery in my life, or sometimes in the life of the women that I work with, that isn't overcome is when we're not willing to do the work, or when I'm not living in that spiritual plane, which then goes back to the question, one of the questions at the top. If an alcoholic failed to protect and perfect and enlarge his spiritual life through work and self-sacrifice for others, he could not survive the certain trials and low spots ahead. So it's already telling me, and then repeating again, kind of, that if I don't get this spiritual life, if I don't find a spiritual way of life and then start living it, I'm not going to survive the trials and low spots ahead. And it just reinforcing how important that contact with a higher power is. And then it says a little bit later on, when all other measures fail, work with another alcoholic would save the day. And there are plenty of times over the years that I'm just in a funk and I can't shake it, and I've written and I've prayed and I've talked to others. So what do? What should I do is really the proper question. It's like, pick up the phone and talk to somebody else. And whether I'm saying, hey, this is what's going on with me, that's not going to work. But if I just call and say, hey, how are you? I was thinking of you today. then that conversation is going to get me out of me. And once I get out of me, that my attitude's going to change. And that brings me a couple of lines down. We've commenced to make many fast friends, and a fellowship has grown up among us. Before coming in these rooms, I had one or two, maybe, really close friends, and a whole bunch of acquaintances that I could take or leave, depending on the day of the week. But now that I've come into AA and I've met all you crazy folks who are all just as crazy as me, so don't take that as an insult, I cannot count on all my fingers and toes the amount of friends I have in life. I need more than my fingers and toes. And it used to take just one hand. So I have gotten many more friends than I ever had before in my life. And these are close friends, friends who have become family, friends who are there for me no matter what's going on, and who have gotten me through some really rocky spots, which then goes back to, scarcely any form of trouble, but I have to keep that spiritual life going. I have to keep in that spiritual contact with my God each day, each morning, and ask my God into my life every day, every morning when I wake up, before I even get out of bed, because that's how I'm going to keep growing that spiritual contact, so that I do have the desire to work with others. Thanks.
Thank you, Trish. Pickle Chips, come on in. Here, I'll send you an unmute. Try that.
Thank you. Pickle Chips here, recovered alcoholic. I always like to tell little stories, but I think I had a real rough spot in my sobriety at about 3 years. And I had not been really working with others yet. I'd sponsored a couple people that had to have a sponsor, and a lot of new people coming through the recovery homes and stuff. But anyway, my best friend and my boyfriend at the time both moved away on the same day. And I just turned 3, and I was absolutely devastated. And I didn't want to call my sponsor because she disliked my boyfriend, and she was delighted he was moving. And so I called one of the ladies at one of my meetings, and I wanted her to give me the name of a mental hospital that I could go to, because I didn't want to drink, but I was just totally felt like I was going crazy. And you know what she had the nerve to say? She said, work with others. And she said, what I want, she says, there's a meeting starting in 35 minutes. She said, I want you to get in your car, drive to the meeting, talk to a newcomer at break, and then call me after the meeting, and we'll talk about it. And I was just so upset that I went to the meeting. And I talked to a newcomer at the break. And by the time the meeting was done, I was fine. I was spiritually renewed. I was feeling strong again. So, a couple lessons learned is to follow directions. Somebody that knows what they're talking about, and working with a newcomer. Oh my gosh, that person and I became friends, and it just opened my world So that's when I started sponsoring, and I didn't sponsor this person because it was a male. But, it was just so fabulous. Today, I don't have any sponsees, but my higher power has given me women that have lost their child. And I have been able to sponsor them, or I don't know, one of them isn't even in the program, but whenever I'm down and feeling sorry for myself, I pick up the phone. Like this morning, I picked up the phone and called Trisha, and she was just so in need of having that ear to talk to, because I know, it's hard to talk to somebody about losing a child when they haven't lost one. But anyway, I see my time is running out. I just wanted to tell my little story about, her name was Sandra, that sent me to a meeting, and I still give people the same advice. Go to a meeting, talk to a newcomer, and call me later. That's all I got. Thanks.
Thanks, Terry.
Would you mute me, Jamie?
I can.
Okay,
Enjoy your birthday dinner. Sheila, welcome. Come on in.
Sheila, alcoholic, and thank you so much, everybody, for this wonderful meeting. Too many people to name. Well, you know who you are. Faith based on spiritual life fulfilled is what I have in the margin on page 15. And my other margin note is working with another alcoholic that I soon found when all other measures failed. Work with another alcoholic would save the day. And that is just so true for me. No matter what's hit me in the last 9 years of my journey, death of loved ones, death of good friends, sponsees who were like my family, like Trish was saying. My family is only in the rooms of AA. Everybody else is peripheral. I didn't choose for it to be that way. It's the way God set it in front of me. And but I work outside of the rooms too with people. And it's always gotten me through, because like it said in part of the reading tonight, when I get into that self-pity and self-absorption, I might as well just pick up a drink and die, because to drink is to die, so those, the main solutions of my program, and to pray for myself. When I went through my surgery, I went through several things this year. One was leukemia and one was a heart thing. I prayed for God to get me through so that I could be of use to others. Not so I could take a cruise, not so I could buy a new house, not so I could have what I wanted or win the lottery, because this is my purpose in life. And I also wanted to comment on the vast amount of fun. When I came into the rooms, I got sober in the rooms of AA. It was my everything, my rehab, I went through withdrawal with people sitting by me, holding my hands, and the rooms were my everything. God was my everything as soon as I came in. And I didn't think I'd ever smile or laugh again. And it says, some would be shocked at our seeming worldliness and levity. Levity is humor and taking things light, rule number 62. And don't take yourself so seriously. And being able to turn ourselves around, our deepest, darkest, self-critical moments, and laugh at them, because that's what it's all about, being able to make things light, and so that way we can clear our channels and we can be of use to others. And where it says others would be shocked, I think they mean the outside world, the normies. People think, oh my God, you're an alcoholic, how awful that must be, you know. Oh, you must be like thinking we have no light in our life, and that's our, that's our anchor that's going to weigh us down. No, they don't understand how much wisdom and how much depth we got from suffering and that pain, and how it gave us so much purpose. It catapulted us into purpose. They don't see it like that. So we have our own little language. If you talk to a newcomer, and you sit there with someone with time, or a couple of people with time after a meeting, if you go for coffee, and there's newcomers, a newcomer or two, they're like, what are they talking about, or when you meet a friend of Bill's, if you're traveling, you're at an airport, oh, you're a friend of Bill's, and you get into this whole language, it's like another world. We have our own world, and I think it's just so beautiful. Lastly, it says we don't need to look further for utopia, which is paradise. Yeah, freedom from the bondage of self. That's paradise. And, faith has to work. When I first came in, I was told the only thing you have to do 100% is honest, work at 100% is honesty. But it says right here, we have to have faith to work 24 hours a day in and through us, or we perish. That to me is just honesty and faith. Both of them are equally, I strive to be 100%. I can't say, well, God kind of, sort of, maybe, and the steps are not written, well, you might think about this, or maybe try. It's like, made the decision to, decided to, and there's no gray area. So thanks for letting me share. Hopefully I tried to pack a lot in there.
Thank you, and you don't have to end up abruptly. You can always take the time to wrap it up. But thank you, Sheila. Great to have you. Xavier, come on in. Welcome.
Good evening, everyone. Xavier, recovered alcoholic. What a treat to be here, and what a great reading. Thanks for everyone's shares. I always love these concepts. I love the idea of Bill's laying in a hospital bed and thinking, if I give this away, having a theory of what good he can do and practicing his principles, and all his affairs have been working with thousands of people. And he and his wife just making it like their new vacation of helping people and seeing all these miracles. It's, if we have 21 people in here right now, and imagine all the miracles, we have 21 miracles that if you think about it, the fact that we're sober, that many of us have recovered, from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body, and to come back from that and be a worker among workers is such a blessing. It's such a miracle to be here today, to be sober, to be present, to have a family, be able to work, be able to just be alive. And over the years, I think many of us fall in this category. I've met many people that have not been so fortunate, that have passed away from this disease, or that continue to struggle from alcoholism. Even meeting people that, I'll put myself included, sometimes suffer from untreated alcoholism, even without a drink. This disease is brutal. So I'm grateful for this program, and that it beat me to my knees, not because I was good or because I was naturally spiritual or naturally had faith, but I did it through necessity. And I was forced to learn these spiritual principles so I could survive, because I wanted to survive. So when it talks about like these nuggets of gold, and when it says things like, they had to have faith 24 hours a day. Faith to work 24 hours a day, in and through us or we perish. Like, this is a really deep concept. And my experience that I'm finding is, when I continue to practice these principles in all my affairs, it's amazing what this God consciousness can do. It's like incredible. It's infinity. It never stops. But I think overall the biggest baseline miracle is it allowed me to recover from my alcoholism, and that my obsession went away. Like, that in itself is a miracle. And that same power that could remove that obsession, that I certainly couldn't, and no human power could, is that same power I've tapped into that I can now apply if I choose to on a daily basis in every aspect of my life. And this program really shows me how to do that. So at the end of the day, the solution's always in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous to life. And I like to make things very complex, but I married up and I have a wife that's smarter than me. She's also in the program. She always brings me back to AA and this simple program that's outlined in this book. And at the end of the day, that's always the solution. No matter what my seemingly problems are, the solution's always in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. So, all right, that's all I got. Thanks for letting me share.
Thank you so much, Xavier. Glad you are with us tonight. Good to see you. Say hi to the family. Scuba Pickle, come on in.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm Larry. I'm an alcoholic. Sorry I went away for a while. We had a power outage. Breaker went out. I was gone for a while, no internet, but gave me a chance to read by myself. So this part, it's amazing, because I think one of the great lies that hit a lot of alcoholics and in my own experience, when it came to helping others, especially in sponsorship, I thought I was going to have to know this program inside and out for me to actually sponsor anybody or to help anybody go through the program. And never before had anybody help me more than a sponsor that probably in the last 2 years brought something to my attention. And it's found on page 84, and it's talking about step 10 in our inventory. And when we have, we watch for ourselves. Have we been dishonest? Have we been selfish and been resentful? Do we have fear? And when these things, we've asked God to remove these things from us and whatever. For the most part, when I would go through my inventory, I was left with discouragement. I've blown it again. I've messed up again. Here I am, years in the program, and I've said something I shouldn't have. I've hurt somebody else. When am I going to stop this? Whatever, And this sponsor pointed out the next line. He said, "Okay, once you've identified this, once you've immediately made whatever amends quickly as the best as you can. The next line says, then we resultantly, that word is, you know what I mean, turn our thoughts to someone we can help. Love and tolerance of others is our code." And he said just a simple few words. He says, it's not how perfect that we do this program, it's how much of this program is working in our lives to help other people. And we can sit here and we can bask in our disappointments, or we can take our disappointments and go and help somebody that is hurting and worse off than we are. And that has helped me more than I can even, than you can imagine, because no longer do I sit and sulk because I've messed up. I immediately go find somebody to share this good news, I immediately go find someone that I can help, inside or outside of this program. It doesn't matter. I go and try to find somebody that is worse off than I am, and I try to do something of usefulness for them, because that gets me out of my head and out of trying to pick on myself and stay in my discouragement, and it gets me back onto the road of recovery. And now I can truly understand what they are saying, that helping others helps us more. That's all I know.
Thanks, Larry. Glad you're here. And see, maybe that power outage was a power greater than yourself working in your life tonight. Jimmy K, come on in.
I am Jimmy, and I'm a grateful recovered alcoholic. You know, I think you guys said that Bill passed away in 1971. And I was 8 years old when he passed away. And, you know, when he was laying in the bed thinking about the other thousands of other people like him, you know, here I came down the pike in 2020, and I needed this program desperately, and it was still here. Now, you know, I don't know if they were still printing the second edition or they'd already printed the third, you know, and I'm sure Bill had seen it grow, and that, you know, AA was on its way. But, you know, thank God this thing is still here. And there was a man that at a Saturday morning meeting I attended in Downers Grove, Illinois, one day said, he says, I hope this program is here if my grandkids need it. And I went to a district area meeting, and there's like 140, 50 people there between Zoom and in person. And I was, you know, blown away by the service work that those folks do. And that you see the things that are behind the scenes that, you know, like as a newcomer, you don't even know these things are going on, but they are. And they're keeping this program alive. And, you know, I said to him, I said, you know, after what I witnessed just here, and that's going on all over the world, not just in my little neck of the woods of Illinois, you know, that's happening everywhere. And I said, I have a good chance to, you know, I would think, you know, that instead of, you know, when you say AA turned 90 years old, that AA will turn 150 years old. And it will be here for our grandkids if they need it. Because you never know when that breaking point's coming. Mine came in the middle of a pandemic. And you guys were here for me. You guys said, hey, let's use Zoom. And at least the message was there. And, you know, yeah, like I said, you know, the dear lady said, AA will love you when you don't love yourself. And that is so true, because I hated myself when I got here. So, you know, I couldn't even look in the mirror, and all the self-pity and all the fear and all the other garbage that was in my life that I didn't want to deal with. But now, you know, thank God for step 4 and 5. That changed a lot of things for me, especially looking at my part of all that. And so I'm a very satisfied customer, and I'll keep coming back.
Thank you, my friend. Glad you are with us tonight, and thank you for your service on the traditions. Well done. Hi, family. My name is Jamie, very grateful, recovered alcoholic, and I'm going to come in on a couple of things. And it's been mentioned by a couple of people, I'm not sponsoring, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that. However, in tonight's reading, my friend emphasize the absolute necessity of demonstrating these principles in all my affairs. And I think about our responsibility statement. I am responsible. When anyone, anywhere, reaches out for help, I want the hand of AA to be there. It doesn't necessarily mean other alcoholics. That could be people in our church. That could be the lady in Walmart who's in the electric buggy who can't reach for something on the shelf, and we reach up and say, or we kindly offer to help them and reach something for them, or put their groceries in their car, or just random acts of kindness as we go through our day. And that in itself is working with others. We have become productive members of society again. Whoops, we got to start the timer, sorry. So I want to move down to the next sentence. Particularly, was it imperative to work with others as he did and had worked with me? And moving down a couple more sentences. If an alcoholic failed to perfect and enlarge his spiritual life through work and self-sacrifice for others, he could not survive the certain trials and low spots ahead. So I'm going to go to a couple of things. You know, we just finished off a classic 12-step call by Bill Wilson himself in print. And this classic 12-step call is still all part of step 1. The doctor's opinion, Bill's story, there is a solution, more about alcoholism, all step 1. 51 pages in all dedicated to the first step. I can't make the self-diagnosis of my disease if I don't read this information and begin to understand it. How am I possibly going to make it work in my life? So, two people I want to talk about. One is Ebby, who carried this message to him. But Ebby did not stay sober long term, and Ebby struggled the rest of his life in and out of sobriety, only gathering a few months at a time. Wasn't a religious man, but failed to expand his spiritual life, right? Another important person that is part of our history is Hank Parkhurst. He's mentioned in the doctor's opinion as the man that the doctor doesn't recognize. His personal story is also the chapter to the employers, and I believe there's also another story called AA in the Desert. But Hank, who was the one that said, Bill, or one of the ones that said, Bill, you got too much God stuff in here. And him and Jim Burwell, the printer, brought the idea of power greater than yourself. Okay, and the book was published in April of 1939. On September 5th of 1939, what's that, 5 months, 6, 7 months later, Hank was already drinking because he failed to enlarge and expand his spiritual life. I don't have the exact dates of when Ebby relapsed, but that was according to Hank's wife, and it's in one of Lois's journals. So the importance of all of this stuff is we see in the last 3 weeks, just the last 3 weeks, we have seen how Bill went from being a hard-nosed agnostic to coming to believe, to believing, and then taking his first 2 steps in the hospital, even though there was only 6 steps at the time of the Oxford group. By the time the book was written, on page 13, Bill has the equivalency of 10 steps that were taken on that one page. One of the things that I do not care for about modern day sponsorship is this idea, I'm going to keep you on step 1 for a year. No, you're not ready. Really? How do you know I'm not ready if I'm asking to do more work? Sometimes we get so far off track on this stuff. And what I need to do for guidelines on sponsorship is to follow how Ebby worked with Bill, how Bill worked with Dr. Bob, how Bill and Bob worked with AA number 3, and Dr. Bob went on his, night Nancy, went on his first 12-step call with 24 hours of sobriety. 24 hours of sobriety after taking his last drink. That's a powerful thing. How is it we think that we have somehow evolved to be so much wiser than the people who wrote this book and left us this legacy to go on? It just baffles me. The other thing that I use as an example is the chapter Working with Others. There is no page in Working with Others that tells me I get to tell you, you gotta. It ain't in there. There's no place in the book that says that. It says I share my experience, what happened with me. There's another very good piece of literature as well. And that is the pamphlet Questions and Answers on Sponsorship. And I highly recommend, if you're looking for a sponsor, read it. Read both sections. If you're looking to sponsor, read it. Read both sections. Because we should have a reasonable idea of what our job is supposed to be. And here's what I know my job is supposed to be. Here's the amazing thing. Ebby led Bill to God. Ebby took a hard-nosed agnostic and led him to God in an evening's conversation. My responsibility in working with others is to get somebody through the preface and the forewords and the first 51 pages and get them to page 45, which is the God page. Lack of power, that was our dilemma. We had to find a power by which we could live, obviously. Just where and how were we to find this power? Well, that's exactly what this book is written about. Its main object is to help you find a power greater than yourself that will solve your problem. My sponsor and I were talking today. Sometimes we don't always understand Alcoholics Anonymous. I guess he and I were just desperate enough when we got here to be willing to do anything. But not everybody who comes to Alcoholics Anonymous today is desperate. Not everyone is desperate enough or has the willingness to do what we do. But here's what I know for sure and for certain. There's a place in the book, chapter 5, it talks about if you have decided you want what we have and are willing to go to any lengths to get it, then you are ready to take certain steps. I made a decision a few years ago through this whole COVID thing. If you were willing to go to any lengths to take the steps, I am willing to go to any lengths to help anybody take the steps. See, it requires willingness on the sponsor's part too. I think when we have someone we're working with and the sponsor either doesn't have the answer or doesn't want to hear it, and we say, well, go to a meeting and share about it, what we do is we turn people into table dumpers. And there's no real solution in that. I've got a responsibility as a sponsor to listen to somebody. And I need to listen to what's going on with them before I can give any suggestions based in my own experience of what they may try. I want to use Bill's story as an example of how to make a 12-step call in working with others. Thank you all for being here. And if you're new to us, come back and join us. We love having you. This is how this meeting grows, by word of mouth. Trish, would you like to take us to the reading, please, and then we'll close out?
I would love to. From page 164 of our book. Our book is meant to be suggestive only. We realize we know only a little. God will constantly disclose more to you and to us. Ask him in your morning meditation what you can do each day for the man who is still sick. The answers will come if your own house is in order. But obviously you cannot transmit something you haven't got. See to it that your relationship with him is right, and great events will come to pass for you and countless others. This is the great fact for us. Abandon yourself to God as you understand God. Admit your faults to him and to your fellows. Clear away the wreckage of your past. Give freely of what you find, and join us. We shall be with you in the fellowship of the Spirit, and you will surely meet some of us as you trudge the road of happy destiny. May God bless you and keep you until then.
Thank you so much, Trish. Thank you to everyone for your service tonight. And next week we have some new servants coming into new places here. Next week we have Lisa coming in to join us in the rotation. And a quick comment about that. Most of us are used to bricks and mortar meetings. And we know how hard it is to get somebody to take on a commitment in bricks and mortar. If you think it's hard in bricks and mortar, my goodness, folks, it's really hard in Zoom. Really hard in Zoom. So, but don't let that keep you from making a commitment to be of service. So, after a moment of silence, we will close out with the Lord's Prayer. So and we hold our hands up in the screen because that's the way we circle up around here. And it's good to see those hands popping up. And after a moment of silence for those who are sick and suffering and going to die of this disease tonight, we'll close out with the Lord's Prayer. Here's your moment. Thank you. Who will take us from shame to grace if we let him? Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
Keep coming back. Get work, but only if you work it so because you're worth it.
Thanks, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, William.
Good night, William. Good to
Love
see
you,
you.
Sheila. How you feeling, sweetheart?
Hanging in there. Better than I was. Much, much better.
You sound much better than you did last night.
Yeah,
And you're sitting up.
leaps